You're watching the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand.
Salah to settle it!
Yes, good evening and welcome back to the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand. What a result that was yesterday. If you haven't already, make sure you go and smash them fan cams. Got a special edition from Rory, a little crowd formed. We've got Mario as his positive usual self. We've got Fraser calling out Richarlison. It's got the lot. So if you're still basking in the glory of yesterday's last-minute winner, which now puts Liverpool 13 clear in terms of winners scored in the 90th plus minutes, 41 now. I think Arsenal have got 30. Frog in my throat just thinking about that game yesterday. But make sure you go and watch those fan cams if you haven't already. Make sure you like this video. Looking ahead now to Fulham, we will look at a little bit more in detail in Hot Topics tomorrow, which is live at 11:30 with myself and Mario, as always, for you people. So make sure you comment, show some love to our guest today, and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. The guy coming on, he's a good mate of mine. This isn't just a normal, oh, bro, you free for a preview? And we've never met before. This is two artists getting in the studio together, playing beats for each other. That's the kind of relationship we've got. It's myself and Mr. Jack Collins, massive Fulham fan. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you? I'm delighted to be back on the channel. I'm gassed.
Hey, listen, the last one was in the studio. This one, listen, every time we'd prefer it to be in the studio, but it's on StreamYard this time. Other streaming platforms are available, I should say, of course. But how you doing, bro? Listen, what a season it's been for Fulham. I mean, from day one, we played you on the first game of the season. It was a 2-2 draw, and things have gone very well for Fulham. Is that safe to say this season in your eyes?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it feels like forever ago, right? Often you don't get those things where it's right at the front and right at the back of a season. But it's the way it's fallen for us and our two clubs this season. But yeah, I think that ultimately any Fulham fan would have bitten your hand off for 17th on goal difference. So to be here and to be in the top half of the table and to be looking at the vague kind of elements of all of this put together, I think is amazing. And there were sort of brief periods of flirtation with maybe looking at a European spot, and now people are getting a bit ahead of themselves, like, oh, we've ruined the end of the season. I'm like, that's we would have all taken this. We would have very much all taken this. So yeah, I couldn't have gone much better. Marcus Silva's done a wonderful job. It's a shame the momentum didn't keep rolling. Maybe there would have been something more to play for right at the end of this season. But generally, I think that nobody is going to have any qualms down on the banks of the Thames at the moment.
Absolutely. Apart from the season ticket prices for next season, maybe.
Yes. Yeah, we'll get to that.
You can have a go at them. We'll get to that. But no, listen, I agree, mate. It's been good to see it for you as well, because I know when you went down that season, naturally, just for you as a presenter and a Fulham fan, well, it kind of dries up a little bit when you're in the Championship. But you're back where you belong. Fulham are, in my eyes, a Premier League club. And they always have been, in my opinion. Let us know in the comments just your general thoughts of Fulham. I've been there myself. I was telling Jay, 2008-9, Benayoun last-minute winner. And then 2009-10, we lost 3-1. Degen, Carragher, both sent off. Everyone wanted Rafa Benitez's head after that in October. So, yeah, what a stadium. What a place. It is down there, man. And you really get it rocking.
Yeah, it is good fun. And it's one of those where Fulham are never going to be the most intimidating atmosphere in the world. I don't think no one's pretending that we are. Like that's where it is. Fulham are a nice little club on the river. But I think it was nice to get a little bit of the mojo back, because there was an element and there was a period where the Cottage was a bit of a fortress for a while. And it was the reason that Fulham survived in the Premier League for those 13 years straight, when we had that brilliant run. And I think that home form was what the kind of changed around in the last couple of seasons. And suddenly those home wins weren't sticking around anymore. So to get back, I think that, the start obviously against you boys was an amazing place to start. But then to bounce off that into the first derby win of the season for us against Brentford and just start to pick up that momentum made amazing difference in terms of how people were feeling. And suddenly the kind of negativity that surrounded the last two seasons of Premier League, obviously the last one was hit hard by COVID and the way that all worked. But just generally being around, having those moments and getting those kind of memories out of the system, I suppose, just getting yourself into a new place, being like, right, we're back in, where, as you say, but Fulham fans feel that we belong in the Premier League, especially those of kind of my age who've mostly seen us as a Premier League club for the majority of our lives, it's
Pizza Hut
been good
days.
to get back into the mixer. Exactly. Get back in the mixer and make it stick. So hopefully this is the start of a little bit more of a stable period for the club.
I'm pretty sure yours and mine experiences of Pizza Hut back in the day had some relation to the advertising. Must have worked actually, because obviously we were watching the game, whoever Fulham were playing at Pizza Hut, and then it's the famous ice cream machine which never works in there. So I kind of blame Fulham for that.
Yeah,
But listen,
absolutely.
they can't take any blame. I don't want to go to court. But no, listen, great to have you on, man. Remember to smash well for Jack. I've left it in the description for you guys here. Not just Fulham. This man is an encyclopedia of football. As you can see in the background, he's got the Sevilles, the Florence trainers. He's got Henrik Larsson. Don't tell me the rest. Messi, Totti, 14, Cruyff.
Yeah,
and then that one
there's
is
the one you
23.
can't really see.
Oh, Maradona, nice.
Yeah, 23 is Joe Bryan. He's my Fulham. That's
He
the
scored
playoff
the
winner
famous
against
goal,
Brentford.
didn't he? Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, what a moment that was, man. Absolutely brilliant. Let's get into some stats before this one, because 2 wins in 29 in the Premier League for Fulham. As we know, one was fairly recently during lockdown. Bobby De Reed with the goal, if I'm not mistaken.
Raul Lamina, I believe.
Okay, yeah, nice. He had a good game as well, my man. So got that one wrong. But let's get into these ones for you. Mo Salah has been involved in 11 goals in his last 10 Premier League appearances, 9 goals and 2 assists since the start of March. That is the most of any player in this division. And when he scored that penalty yesterday, Jack, I was just in general, being in the Kop yesterday was just an absolute dream and a bit of a nightmare as well, to be honest. But when he keeps scoring, it's almost like you go, well, yeah, he's supposed to score. But you actually step back a minute and go, well, he's just overtaken Robbie Fowler and Steven Gerrard. He's now 4th in the list, or 5th. Like, this guy, do you think he's slightly underrated? I mean, scored some decent goals against Fulham himself, but how do you look at those numbers and what can you compare them to? Obviously, Haaland's out there, but some numbers this guy's putting up.
Yeah, and some numbers for an extended period of time as well, right? So this is it. This is the difference, I think, between good and great. It's being able to do this for 5-6 seasons on the trot. And look, yes, you can go through lulls and you can go through, buzzes, and you go through all these things. Yeah, good question. But it's like you do go through these bounces and you're going to go through sticky periods. And especially, the way that Liverpool started the first half of this season, suddenly when the rest the team dries up and the cogs in the machine don't work the same way, it can be easy to then be like, well, we're not scoring, so it must be Salah. Maybe he's reached the end. Maybe the peak's gone. But actually, as soon as things started looking a bit brighter, as soon as they looked like there's a bit more cohesion in the side, things have improved again. And look, that's the mark of a great player, being able to one, put team on your back when you need it. But 2, I think the consistency of his numbers have been remarkable for so long. And look, I think he's if not changed the game, then definitely changed the definition of what forwards do, and especially wide forwards. And I think he's had a real say in the fact that people no longer purely look to their number 9 or haven't for a cycle. And obviously, we talk about this a lot, that cycles in football change, and maybe Haaland spearheads another kind of point here where we're looking at it and going, okay, people are going to go back to traditional number 9s, maybe more complete number 9s than we're used to. I think Salah did that for wide forwards, and for a while, so many of the best teams in the world went for wide forwards. And Lionel Messi is a freak of nature and the best player that has ever played this game, as far as I'm concerned. But I think that the difference was that whilst Messi kind of could do everything, Salah changed the way of exactly how Premier League teams in particular looked at trying to utilize wide players, and suddenly it wasn't all on the number 9. And I think that his numbers and the consistency of it just goes to show that there's been a very special player on your hands at Anfield for quite some time.
This is why Jack comes on the channel, right? Because you ask him a question and it's poetic verse. I just love it. No, and you're right, bro. The knowledge is appreciated on the channel, man. We love to have you on. By the way, Everton 2-1 down. We will be speaking on whether we actually want Everton to go down or not on the podcast tomorrow. So big up Jake for keeping us up to date with the score. Big up Mark as well. Even Jamie Vardy's back scoring, of course, it is against Everton as well. Jigger 876, remember to link me when you come to Jamaica, Alex. Yes, my friend. I haven't forgot about you. I'm coming in at the end of June. Don't worry about A couple more stats just to dissect into before we get into a bit of a question time. Can we win this game and make it 5 in a row? Trent has assisted in each of his last 5, Jack. Only 2 players have assisted a goal in 6 consecutive appearances. Any guesses for those 2 names, my friend? You should get these fairly easily.
Kevin De Bruyne?
No, funnily enough.
That's a great question.
Yeah. 6 in a row.
I've
only 2
very
players.
much enjoyed it. 6 in a row. Premier League assists.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And some
that's a
games he
very,
might
very
have got
good question.
2. Some games he'll have got 1.
Um,
But let me give you the.
well,
Shall I give you
I
the
would imagine Cesc Fabregas would be up there,
correct?
right?
There's one in the bag.
That's one. We got Cesc Fabregas. Is it the same type of player? Is it a creative midfielder who's got this as well? Is it Mesut Ozil?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. That's
Great
the
stuff.
knowledge.
I'm
we
delighted.
like
It was
on
like,
this
I was
show. We
like,
love
hey,
it.
I started having a panic moment there. I was like, yes. And then I realized that right backs don't all do what Trent does. And started trying to work backwards through these things, right?
Yeah, don't think of right backs because he's changed the game. He's reinvented the position.
100%.
There was another stat I saw the other day. He's the 3rd quickest to get to 50, 3rd youngest to get to 50 assists after Fabregas and Rooney. So they're the kind of levels that he's setting for himself, really. Liverpool have scored more Premier League goals. Yeah,
I quite enjoy this new position he's taken on. Yeah, I quite enjoy the fact that this kind of inverted role he's taken on, and I think it will need work, and I think you'll need to invest in the summer in the midfield and be able to find players that can dip in a little bit. And I do think that the kind of shaky part of yesterday for you guys came from the fact that Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones, as excellent as both of them are, and as brilliant talents as both of them are, probably just a little bit of attacking thinking for them to have 2 players and your right back dropping into the pivot. So I do wonder what that looks like, next year. But I am enjoying Trent's little inverted role, I'll be honest.
I think the football lovers like yourselves, you almost smile when you see him playing there because this is how it always should have been. If Nathaniel Clyne didn't get that injury at Old Trafford in 2016 and he had to play him at right back because Milner was already on the pitch, and you're not going to play him in centre mid at 18 years old away at United, then this would never have happened. But as we know, he's always been a central midfielder. So I'm just smiling when I see him doing his thing. And he's so nonchalant. He pings it around. It's beautiful to watch, mate. Here's another one for you, though, bro. Liverpool have scored more Premier League goals on a Wednesday than any other side. 220, apparently. While only in games played on Friday do the Reds have a higher goals per game average than on Wednesday. So is it going to be a wicked Wednesday?
Surely these are like, imagine the sample size on a Wednesday is so much smaller than it would be on a Saturday or a Sunday. Right? Like one of those games, mad ones. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Is this fine? Fulham have a knack of snapping these streaks, by the way. So, for better and for worse, because Villa hadn't won on a midweek all season up to the weekend. Fulham hadn't lost. Obviously, went straight to Villa Park and capitulated. So not too much to enjoy in that regard.
No, here's one for you though. You like this? Between 1949 and 2018, you can hear Gus barking in the background. By the way, I apologise for that. Fulham have won just one of their 55 away league games against Everton and Liverpool, drawing 11 and losing 43. But since then, you've won your last 3 on Merseyside.
Yeah, our historical record at Merseyside is an absolute joke. Like I remember in 2012, Fulham's first win ever at Anfield, and then our first ever win at Goodison Park, I believe, was during the COVID season. So we've done that, done 2 of them now. So that's nice, but it really is an absolute madness that we haven't been able to.
A lot of teams have that. Yeah,
we struggled against Tranmere.
Yeah. Oh God, Bootle in the cup. Don't fancy that.
No chance. No chance. Keep them well away from me.
Yeah, Tranmere. We played them in the cup in 01. It was a tough game, 4-2 away. But Arsenal haven't won in the city of Liverpool for 7 years. So it can be people's bogey sides, Liverpool and Everton, especially away. But I like that stat. One more for you. Liverpool are winless. Get on this one. In the last 3 Premier League games against Fulham, drawing 2, losing 1. Only once Have they ever had a longer run without a win against them in league competition? That was 4 games between. Any slight guesses on this one? If you get this, I'll buy you 5 pints next time I see you.
Somewhere in the 50s.
Oh, I can't take it. It's a good answer. 1966 to December 1967, my friend.
There you go. There we have it.
So there you go.
Things we learn from.
There you go. As we know, the last game was a 2-2 draw. We know that Fulham have got the better of Liverpool of late. Liverpool have been in formidable form at Anfield this season. 11 wins, 4 draws and 1 loss. Fulham 6 wins, 2 draws and 8 losses on the road this season. It's still not that 1 in 3, really, isn't it, at this stage, in terms of 6 away wins. How do Fulham kind of set up away from home? We obviously saw Harry Wilson bang one in at Goodison Park a couple of weeks ago. Great away day that must have been. But how do you normally set up away from home?
Well, over the course of the season, it's been very much, try and get Mitrovic to bring the 3 behind into play, but he is still banned. I've seen a few comments asking if he's still on that ban. He is. We don't get him back till Southampton. Southampton away, 3 games from the end. So we do not have Alexander Mitrovic. So there's that. It's going to be very, very interesting. It will be the standard formation. Fulham don't tend to, or haven't tended this season to change away at all from what we play. So it will be a 4-2-3-1. Andreas Pereira is now injured, who's been playing 10 all season and playing as a very kind of 4-4-2 out of possession. He plays as a second striker to kind of press and actually gets beyond and has got beyond Mitrovic to be the leading press man in terms of the way that Fulham set up. He's now injured and out for the rest of the season. Tim Ream's out for the rest of the season. Mitrovic is still missing. So there's a lot of question marks about what this Fulham side looks like, especially in a week with these kind of couple of games. We play Leicester at home on the Monday afterwards. So I wonder if there will be an element of one eye on that and just a little bit of more rotation you'd expect. So yeah, it's going to be super interesting, I think, just in terms of we've not seen much variation from the standard 11, to be honest, through the whole season. It has been Leno in goal, Tete, one of Diop or Tosin Adebayo alongside Ream, Anthony Robinson at left back, Paulinho and Harrison Reed in the deep roles, Pereira in the 10. The wingers have really been the only place that there's been serious rotation. Wilson was obviously injured. Cabano started the season, got injured. Willian now looks like he's going to be out for this game as well. So another one missing in that regard. Manor Solomon's come in and out. Bobby Decordova-Reid's come in and out. Dan James has come in and out. Yep. Carlos Vinicius is kind of the obvious replacement for Mitrovic in terms of like physique.
Target man.
But he's actually not very good physically, which is quite interesting. He's actually technically all right, but he doesn't play anything like he looks like. You're like, that guy should just be a bully in the air, in the box. He's none of those things. He's technically with his feet pretty gifted. He does have no idea how to use his physicality, but he played really well against City at the weekend. So
great goal. Great goal.
Yeah, great goal. But just generally, we've seen some really poor performances from him of late. Like to the point where at the Villa game when he came on and did absolutely nothing for 20 minutes, I was like, that might be the last time we see him in a Fulham shirt because it was that bad. And then obviously Dan James has been playing as a 9. There's been a bit of Bobby Decordova-Reid at the 9 as well. I did wonder what those kind of things look like. But now that he has played like that against City, I do wonder if they stick him up there. Although I'd be tempted personally, if I was Marco Silva, to go and try and get over the top of Liverpool in this one and go with Dan James up there.
Yeah, a bit of pace in between the lines. Apparently there's been a penalty in the Everton-Leicester game. Everton are getting fingered by the Foxes. Yup, the Kop TV. Big up to you, man like Sam. What's actually happened in this game? Can we get some clarification? People are saying Penn, Maddison to take, but I don't even... Oh, it's a miss. Stupid miss, apparently. I can't wait to watch the second half. This will be a good one, if I'm honest.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get half 2. We'll be all right.
Yeah. So can we win 5 in a row? Quite remarkable considering how poor we've been in the early half or the first quarter of this year in every competition. But to say that you've won 4 games in the Prem in a row, I'd take that. That's decent. And if we win this one, it becomes 5 going into the Brentford game, I believe, at the weekend as well. Where, by the way,
double.
Yeah, we've got the West London double at Anfield. So 4 of our last 6 games are at home, which is what you want going into a little race to see whatever we can get at the end of the season. By the way, I don't think anyone's going to be singing the national anthem at Anfield on 5:30.
No, I was interested. I'm
don't
going to
think they will
Liverpool
be.
this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about not being in London for the coronation weekend. Let's talk about it.
Did you see the Celtic one yesterday?
I did indeed.
Yes. Brilliant. Yeah, I can't imagine that happening. But can we win 5 in a row? I think obviously it's doable. We're at home. We are the form team at the minute in terms of, away from City and maybe Villa. So I am confident going into the team. Again, some massive performances yesterday. Some little question marks with Konate's positioning. Robertson didn't have a great game, but I can't really expect any changes to the back 5. We all know what the back 5 is now. It's going to be Konate, I'd say, over Matip. Some bits to learn though, especially if he's got Dan James running in that channel between him and Trent, or Carlos Vinicius if he can find a bit of physicality. In the midfield, now this is the question mark, because Curtis Jones, I've been raving about him all day. Obviously a massive talent, just shy of 100 all comps for Liverpool, not even 22. The future is bright, and I think before this little stretch of form, and obviously he got a great goal and an assist in the last couple of weeks, I would have said loan him next season. But this little run of form is almost come he's actually playing into our hands perfectly. It's come at a great time because we know we're buying in the summer. It's an opportunity to go and keep Thiago out of the team if you want for till the end of the season, because there's not much to play for, as we know. But I think he still deserves it. But I would go with Thiago and Fabinho. I thought Fabinho played really well yesterday, but I would stick Thiago in with the form man of Jones. And then up front, I mean, I'm obviously, as everyone knows, the biggest fan of Luis Diaz and Darwin Nunez. But how do you drop Gakpo, who is almost moulding? I know you love the Trey Quartista role, Jack, but he is learning from Bobby in training, and it is evident because the way this man can drop, playing other people, win penalties. Do you know what? I've got to have a word with myself here, because yesterday I thought, he didn't do much. And then obviously being almost front row in the Kop, you're going to... By the way, Thiago's injured, so I doubt he'll be playing. I don't even know what that injury was, by the way. I saw him giving Darwin a little team talk before he went on. But in that game yesterday, I thought we just threw it away. We stopped playing after 20 minutes. Get someone in who can control the midfield, play the balls. But how do you drop Gakpo, who is moulding into this lovely position, and you can't drop Salah? That's the answer. What, obviously, as a man who, you must have been aware of him at PSV, there was a big furore around him in terms of coming to Man United or Liverpool. What have you liked from him so far?
I like how he's molded the role, and I think you're absolutely correct, right? Because actually his best football at PSV often came from that burst off the left. Obviously here it was a slightly different format that PSV tend to play with a big man up top. They play with Luke de Jong, then it was Noni Madueke at the start of the season, and Gakpo on the other side, and then Xavi Simons was sort of here and there and everywhere in the 10. So it was a really good side to begin with. But what I've really liked about Gakpo, and actually what has been brilliant about him, is the way that
Great
he
pronunciation,
can
by the way.
move.
Can I just say?
I try my best, I try my best.
My guy.
But I just think that when he does drop off, and he can kind of do a lot of different things, his distribution is lovely, and it kind of always has been. But the way that he glides past players as well means he's offering something different, I think. And if you play a Gakpo in here, you have to play players who are going to run in behind, right? And he'll really struggle if you don't have wingers around him. And this is why I think he struggled with Elliott outside him earlier on, when they were trying to sort of different formations around. They both want the same spaces. They're trying to occupy the same parts of the pitch, same thirds. And actually, if you do have Gakpo in that 9 dropping off, it needs to be a player like Mo Salah, and on the other side, like Luis Diaz or Darwin. I actually think that, to be honest, both work in this scenario, because they're going to look to bomb over the full back, find those channels. And I think that Fulham will struggle if Gakpo plays in the 9. Because I think that, especially without Tim Ream there to marshal the defensive line, actually they looked fine at the weekend, because Erling Haaland wanted to play up against them, and the fact that when he was up against them and standing up, they were like, right, okay, so we know what we're doing here. We know we're marking Haaland.
Exactly.
And so if Gakpo goes wandering, the only good news for Fulham is that João Palhinha's back. So if Palhinha's there, then Gakpo will have, but then you get the other support, you get who's moving forward. You know, the overloads can happen. I wonder if that happens, who picks Gakpo up and how Fulham deal with that. I think that could be a stretch for us.
Most tackles in the league, João Palhinha. What a player.
Player.
I mean, I've bantered with you on Twitter about him, of course. But let us know in the comments, who do you think should start that front three? We've got a comment here from Tim, all the way from America. Big up to you. Keep front three, obviously, can rest if a freshness issue. Diaz to Jota could be a shout. Thiago is injured. There was a slight breeze, says Sam. Thanks for the update. Diaz, Gakpo, Salah have to start. It's a must. Diaz, Gakpo, Salah, again from Al Guapo. Big up Alex and Jack, says Rosie. Big up to you, my friend, as well. Curtis and Elliot, says Riku. Shout out to him. 2 words for you, Jack. Fabio Carvalho. What happens? Where
Send
does he
him
go?
home.
Do you want
Give him back.
What's going to happen?
Give him back. No, look, obviously I love Fab, and you and I spoke about this. I thought it was a good move for him. I really did, and I thought there was going to be places for him to open out into this team. And when he scored that winner against Newcastle, it really did feel like things were kicking on. We did talk about the fact that Liverpool haven't played with a 10 in some time, and that he is very much a 10, and that if you play him wide, you're not going to get the best out of him. We talked about the fact that he might be the Firmino false 9, although he said he'd have to bulk up. But Gakpo's come in and made that role his own. So there's a lot there in terms of where does he fit. I still think that there's a serious footballer in that. But I do think he's the kind of player that needs to be played in an exact role. And maybe that role exists next year. We just spoke about the fact that Trent is kind of playing from right back into that interior position. He's moving into that Stonesy role. Although I think that there's an element of where he's sticking about it. Trent likes to actually get forward. He's not playing the John Stones 2 in front. He's like, I might go for a wonder here. And it's part of the game about him that I love. But I'm not sure he's actually a defensive midfielder in there. He's just sort of an 8, which is kind of mad at this point. So if that is something that Liverpool are going to look at going forward, and if they're going to bring in another midfielder to try and deal with that and deal with the bit that's diving into right back, there is an issue there that you go, okay, does this become a 2 in the midfield and an actual 10? And at which point does Fabio Carvalho suddenly come into this side and look like a world beater again? But if that's not going to happen, and there's not going to be a 10 in place next year, Liverpool have to make a decision. Now, I don't think Fulham would take him back on loan. I wouldn't. Much as I love the boy, I can't see how that would benefit Fulham long term. It would probably benefit Fabio, and it would definitely benefit Liverpool. But it would. It's just one of those where I'm not sure it is. Fulham do play with a 10, and we're actually one of few teams that does, I think, at this point, like an out and out pure number 10. So I think that him coming back is a possibility, but I'd be very surprised if it was for anything aside from a permanent move. And I don't know if he'll want to give up on Liverpool this quickly. But if he's not going to be a 10 role for him next year, then maybe the answer is to get him out on loan somewhere where he is going to play in that role.
Yeah, you can clearly see there's massive talent there. We've seen flashes, the Fulham goal, the City goal. Great finish against Bournemouth when we beat them 9-0. And, in the Cups next season, especially if we're playing in the Europa League, by the way, I would almost have him nailed on as a starter in every game in that tournament in terms of being a 10. Why not try a different formation in a tournament like that? Actually, do you know what? You know me, Jack. There's a weird part of me that if we get in the Europa League, I can do loads of content with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We could go somewhere and watch Betis or Liverpool. Well,
very good. Everyone's having a good time.
Yeah. No, listen, honestly, I'm not too mad at it if it comes, but I've said on videos in the past, there's definitely a future for him still at Liverpool. There's no way after you especially with the hassle we went through to make the deal happen in the first place. I don't think you just give up on this project after a year. Again, at his age, he needs to should want to play every single minute of every single game. And I understand if he can't hear, then you've got to find someone that allows you to do that. It's the same with Kelleher at the minute. Great goalkeeper, probably number 2 for Ireland as well at the minute. But, at his age, he needs to be playing. Same with Nat Phillips. That's why all these guys are going to leave in the summer,
Yeah,
But
it's an interesting one. Kelleher in particular. I'm an Ireland fan, so obviously this is one
obviously,
that sticks in the craw. But Bazuni's had a bad season, right? He's moved away from
yeah.
City, and there's still a
Get
favourite, and he's
Kelleher
still
in.
a brilliant goalkeeper for Ireland. Someone bringing Kelleher in, and there's a real opportunity for him there to go and be like, oh no, I'm Ireland's number one now, and so
Yeah.
I think you're
We call
right.
him the
He needs to
Irish
go out and
Casilla.
get those minutes.
That's what
That's
we
high
call him.
praise. That's high
It
praise.
is. But I saw
Yeah,
this
he
stat, right?
does need that minute. He needs those minutes.
I think he's played 16 games for Liverpool, and I think he's won 5 penalty shootouts in those 16 games, which is like the highest ratio we've ever had
Ever,
at the
yeah.
club. Yeah. And he scored a pen in the shootout against Chelsea last year. So honestly, my mum says I look a bit like him in the sun. But he is a very, 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 very good goalkeeper. He's got real calmness. He's good with his feet. I've never actually seen him make a mistake, Jack, for Liverpool. So, you know, if someone wants to take him, there's a very, very good keeper here. But then we've got to replace him and Adrian in the summer. So we need 2 goalies. Hendo to Wrexham 2024 says Mick the Prick. I've never heard that name on this channel before. That's tickled me, that one. You know
Great
it ain't
stuff.
good to capitalise every letter. Loan Jones out to Everton in the Championship. Is Klopp out injured for the Fulham game? Well, he won't be banned. He might have a tight hammy. Might have to sit on the bench a bit more. But yeah, I mean, that was a funny Klopp performance yesterday, wasn't it? Heard Klopp's getting
Quite
touchline
vintage.
ban. When does that come into place? That was prime Klopp yesterday in 90
We'll
minutes. You
see.
saw everything.
This is interesting though, because this is literally exactly, he did exactly what Marco Silva got banned for. So we will see. Like literally calling out a ref and be like, well, this is the 3rd time he's wrecked it. And Silva's like, right, I got 2 game ban now. See you all in a bit. So I'd imagine it won't be in place before this game, whatever happens. But I am keeping an eye on that one. Because
Well, you'll be pushing the book
I
to
was
try.
upset. I don't want anyone banned. I just want consistency, man. That's all I want.
Ah, clever. Knows his place on the channel on the away day. Yeah, got it. Replace Adrian with my nan. Well, do you know what? I'm not saying your nan is in any. Actually, I won't even say what I was going to say. What my initial point was.
It rhymed well. Yeah.
No, it wasn't even a rhyming thing. What my actual point was, and then maybe you can infer, was Adrian has gone his whole career without ever demanding £1 transfer fee. Every club he's gone to has been on a free. And then I was going to say something, but anyway, it's disrespectful to women, probably.
I make no comment.
Yeah, no comment. None needed. United will bottle. Trust, they've got 2 away games and their away record is garbage. I mean, we all hate Manchester United. Jack can get on board with that one as well, as we know. Klopp will have a walkie-talkie chatting to Pep. Adrian couldn't leave quick enough. Gavin Bazunu, LFC second choice. That's not even a bad shout if Kelleher goes. Then we just swap. Then I'm on Bazunu's side.
That is interesting.
Ireland number one.
Interesting.
That is interesting, actually. My
Like
eyebrows are raised. Right, let's get into what we actually think is going to happen. I'm starting to ask the guests on the show, including Abby and Nikki last week, instead of just saying what's the score going to be, predict the game for me, Jack. I'm talking 4 quarters. What happens in each? I need a flashpoint in each quarter, please. I don't want to sound American, but I'm trying to go 22 and a half, 22 and a half, 22 and a half, 22 and a half.
We start quite badly usually. So I'm going to say you start fast. You start if you start anything like you did against Spurs, then we're going to be in slight trouble, especially with a heavily rotated team.
I think we're in a bit of slight trouble here.
Yeah. It's a bit of a sticky one. But it was like you look at these kind of things and you go, right, how does this work? If Liverpool start fast, then Fulham rotated side looks rocky. But I do think we'll grow into this. And I thought you looked leggy, if I'm honest. We played obviously before you, and you play before us at the weekend. So there's going to have to be some rotation in terms of how you play this. Not necessarily from the start, but either way, I'd imagine Klopp will want you to get off to a flyer and then be able to make those changes, because Brentford coming to town at the weekend, much it pains me to say it, isn't an easy game either.
No.
And, you have these kind of different elements of how this all works, whereas we can kind of we'll rotate, but I imagine the side won't make any changes till 70 odd minutes, because that's how it's going to work. I think we'll grow into it and we will be stubborn. And if we can get to half-time level, I fancy our chances of getting a point. That's how we'll say it. If not, I think that if we go in 1-0 down, 2-0 down, it could be a bit tricky. It could be a long one. And I think that obviously Fulham are kind of in this weird rotationy period where not only is there not all that much to play for left for us, Pride aside, and that sort of West London mini league that we're trying to top, the European places are out of the question. The top half finish looks pretty okay, I think, generally considering the games we've got left, and the fact that Chelsea are just bad, which is great. But it kind of all of this put together, you've got things on the line we don't. It's at Anfield where we famously struggle with a crowd at the very least. And I think that when you kind of look at all of that together, I find it very hard to predict anything but a Liverpool win. I mean, I'm on here as a Fulham guest, so I'm going to push a draw and push the envelope. But I am struggling to see us getting out of this one. And I think that considering we played City at the weekend, that was a tricky battle from start to finish. Yes, it wasn't quite as up and down as your game, but it was, I imagine, a lot of effort put in. It's going to be, one of those. Willian not missing has, just been brought up by Rossi in the comments. It's all just kind of a lot that I'm not liking. And I think we're going to... Harry Wilson to score is my prediction. There's my outlandish prediction. But I would fancy that you might win 2-1. Yeah. Harry Wilson outside the box, 25 yards. No celebration.
Well, you know what? Wouldn't surprise me. Nico Williams did it the other day. I'm shocked that Danny Ings didn't do it for West Ham the other night. It's just a very Liverpool thing. But yeah, taking in everything into consideration that you said throughout the show, no Mitrovic, Paulinho back, which is a big plus for you. No Willian, Tim Ream out for the season. You say there was another one. Who else was out as well? Injury.
Pereira.
Another one you said. Pereira. I mean, that's the core. Let alone that's your top assist, your top goal scorer, and your best defender all gone. So considering all of that, I'm going to go for a Liverpool 2-0 win.
The only thing about that that's potentially positive is that we've had pretty much the same team playing all year. One, everyone's starting to look a bit tired anyway because Marco Silva sides do this. The fact that they start fast and end slow this isn't new to a Marco Silva side. But the kind of forced changes, he wouldn't drop Pereira. He loves him. His set piece ability, his pressing means that he might have to throw someone like a Luke Harris in, who's, just signed his first long-term contract. He's seen as the kind of Fabio Carvalho successor at Fulham. You can't have him before you start asking. But kind of when you look at all of that, Tosin and kind of Diop, who've been rotating all season, be like, go on then, prove you're good enough to start next year. Sasha Lukic came in from Torino in January, hasn't played very much, might get an opportunity there as well. Manus Solomon still playing for a contract somewhere, whether it's at Fulham or elsewhere. Dan James trying to prove his worth in terms of a signing. Harry Wilson coming back from an injury. There's players out there now that these injuries have kind of been forced into changes with a point to prove. And that might be the one thing that really helps us in a game like this, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Rodders 007 had Fulham going down. Respect, great season. And there is that respect there as well. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win. I don't think it's a rout. You say we've got stuff to play for, which mathematically is correct. But you obviously go out and win the game, do everything you can. But at the same time, I've always remained that I reckon there's about an 11 or 12% chance that we get Champions League. We'd have to, hope that everyone else messes up massively. But I'm pretty much resigned to Europa League. So let's win the game. 2-0.
You just got to put the pressure on, right? And I know that that's used as it's kind of used as a stick to beat her on. Oh, we went and put the pressure on, fine. But you've got to. You literally have to go, we win every game. We hope that, United slip up against Brighton away at the weekend, which is a tricky fixture. We all know that. And then you've got to kind of build on it and keep running. You keep winning, and more as injuries set in, as tiredness set in, and we have to go to Old Trafford on the final day of the season. Maybe we do 2 favours.
Please, that would be very, very nice if you could do that. No Willian, no Vitch, no chance, says John Gibbo. Big up to him. Fulham, he also makes another great point. Fulham play great football this season. They have done, for sure. Right, guys, we're going to leave it there. I do want to catch the end of Everton potentially going down. As I said, we'll be discussing that if they do lose in Hot Topics tomorrow, myself and the Italian stallion Mario, as we know, as always. Jack, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. It always is an education in football whenever we link up, mate. So thank you very much and appreciate the time, man.
No, thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it, mate. It's always good to chat.
Come on, bro. And listen, pint?
Yeah, I'd love that.
Of course. Yeah, why not? All right. But listen, I've left Jack's Instagram down below. Please go across and sort him a follow. He's always talking about, well, a lot of sports, to be honest, but I'm very keen on his stuff with the Ranks FC guys. He does a lot of stuff on European football as well, which is always nice. There's just a bit of extra content when Liverpool isn't taking up all your life. But listen, go and follow him. Make sure you do. Big up Alex, Kop TV. Big up to you, my friend. See you out in Jamaica. And remember to like the video, smash that comment button with your score predictions, and of course, subscribe if you haven't already. See you at 11:30 tomorrow, people. Take care. All the best.
Thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it.
Please, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Kop TV.